Is it actually a Ribena or is it an alcoholic Ribena? Cheers from Poland again, painting the figurines again. Love to hear it. That's what I like to hear. Right, we're going to jump straight into it. Today's stream, I think, will be about an hour. I said that last time, but I don't want to go through as much draft building again. Because I'm going to be saying the same sort of stuff again. And some of the teams today, specifically Fulham, aren't that interesting. So we're aiming for around an hour stream. If you are enjoying the streams, please do drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this back as a video, make sure to drop some comments down below to feed the algorithm gods. So, all of that being said, let's move on to the first team today, which was probably the most exciting, the one we was waiting the most for, which is Liverpool. So as always in the chat, let me know who you're happy with. Let me know who you think has been priced incorrectly. Let me know if there are any value picks here in your opinion. I'm a little bit gutted we didn't get Matip. I think Matip's the only one here that I was quite interested to see. Also Konate as well. I guess they're not sure. Maybe they want a couple more days to decide who is going to be the starting centre-back this season alongside Van Dijk for Liverpool. Other than that, very cheap all round. I think they've priced Salah roughly correct. I said on Twitter, I think even at 13, Salah's a bit of an auto pick for me. There's been a few people saying they'll go without him. I think at 13.5, I think maybe I would think about it. At 14, I think 14 million would have had to been the price for me to not pick Salah in. I still think at 13 million, Salah offers absolutely brilliant value. The issue that we've got with Salah is potentially not even the price of Salah. It's the price of Diaz, Darwin Nunez, and also Jota. So Darwin and Jota are at 9 million, and then Diaz is at 8 million. So for 4 million less, you can get the starting striker, whoever that's likely to be. We're going to have to wait and see for that at Liverpool. For 8 million, you can basically get what we're expecting to be the new Mane, right? We're expecting Diaz to be the starting left winger almost every game for Liverpool. Yes, Jota can play out there. Yes, Darwin can play out there as well. So it could be that there's a bit of rotation. It feels too cheap. I'll be honest, I think they could have priced Diaz at 10 million and he still might have represented good value, but at least maybe 9.5. At 8 million, I think I'll have Diaz in my game week 1 side at the moment. But what this potentially comes down to, right? I think a lot of people will have Salah, and I think a lot of people are going to probably have Trent at 7.5 million. I think the two of those, I know that is a lot of your budget taken up, right? It's over a fifth of your budget taken up with those two. But they're tried and tested. They get over 200 points. You can expect that season upon season. You can expect them to deliver consistently. I think a lot of people are going to have Trent and Salah. So it basically comes down to that third Liverpool spot. Do you want to just go without any other Liverpool? Maybe keep that spot open for maybe moving to Jota, Darwin, Diaz. Or what I think most people will be thinking is either Diaz or Robertson. Right? So Trent and Salah look, in my opinion, for my drafts at least, look like fairly locked-in options. But that third spot, Diaz versus Robertson. Robertson's only 7 million. So Robertson's the same price as Cancelo. I really thought Robertson would come in at 7.5, and I thought Trent would come in at 8. And that would give you a debate. You go for Cancelo at 7 or Robert. I think I prefer Robertson to Cancelo. Well, I know that's crazy to say because Cancelo offers really, really good value as well. The issue is Diaz is so good. So I guess you've got these two. Oh, sorry, smack the mic. You've got two options there. Maybe like Foden and Robertson, or like Mahrez and Robertson, or maybe you go for like Cancelo and Diaz. I quite like Cancelo and Diaz. And my Liverpool triple up would therefore be Salah, Trent, and Diaz. It'd be all of the headline players that you can see down that line there. In my opinion, I don't think Van Dijk's worth it. I think you pay the extra 0.5 for Robertson. He's been very consistent, Van Dijk. I just think Robertson's got that higher ceiling for me. The really interesting one here, potentially the most interesting of all, was actually Alisson. So Alisson's at 5.5, which tells me that there won't be any £6 million keepers this year. I actually think they've done a really nice job of pricing the keepers this year. I think 5.5 million for Alisson and Ederson actually gives you a potential option. I still think I prefer the 4.5 keepers, but for only £1 million more than Raya, you can get Alisson or Ederson. More so than Alisson, I think it's Ederson that I would be tempted by. The reason for that is I think Robertson and Trent just offer such good value. But with City, getting into that City defence for 5.5 million with their most nailed defender, or keeper in this case, in Ederson, I like that as an option. The other players, obviously Elliott and Thiago, we don't particularly care about. Ramsey's interesting at 4, but he's literally going to be there in case Trent gets injured. But I suppose if Trent does get injured, then you've got a nice option in there. And then Darwin and Jota, I don't know who's starting as the starting striker. Let me know if you're a Liverpool fan and you're watching this. I think Andre's in the chat. Let me know who you think is going to be starting. I wouldn't be surprised to see them start the season with Jota and ease Darwin Nunez in just a little bit. Maybe play one every 2 or 3 games until he starts to find his feet. But if either of them look like they've nailed down the starting place and the other player is just rotating in, I quite like that as an option. Let me know then in the chat, who are your 3 Liverpool players? I'm also going to run a quick poll as well. Robertson versus Diaz. Which one are you going for? Because I do think that is going to be the key debate for me. Robertson's price hasn't been revealed. Yeah, but Marcus, I'd be very surprised if they make Ederson 6 and Alisson 5.5, especially considering that Alisson was the top scoring keeper last year. I've just put a poll in the chat. Assuming, again, this is an assumption. I know a lot of you won't, but assuming you go for Salah and Trent, who's your 3rd Liverpool player? Diaz, Robertson, or Alisson? Which of those 3 players are you currently favouring at the moment? I guess Jota and Nunez in. I would be surprised if anyone starts the season with them when we don't know who's going to be the starting striker. But we'll have to wait and see. Diaz, Nunez, and Alisson for me. Yeah, that would be a very differential 3. Going without Salah and Trent and Robertson. Could work. I need 2 votes in the poll. Yeah, if you're going for Robertson and Diaz, maybe just which one you prefer out of the 2 then. I know a lot of people are probably going to go for the triple up of maybe avoiding Salah. I say a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people will, but Trent, Robertson and Diaz, the 3 there, if you go without Salah, you're still getting triple Liverpool. You're still getting great value. And it'll allow you to go for like Son. You can even probably afford like Son, De Bruyne and Haaland potentially. Or at least like 2 of those rather than 1. Do the Twitter thing from yesterday. Yeah, we might rate some drafts in a bit for sure. Waiting for price of Son before deciding. Yeah, that's fair enough. I have a strong feeling Trent, Robertson, Diaz might be an option. Yeah, I think now a lot of people are going to say they'll go without Salah. But how many people follow through with that and actually go without Salah? Salah come game week 1 against Fulham away, Palace, United, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton. We know what he does against United every time he plays against us as well. I think you've got to be a very brave person to go without Salah. That's not saying it's a bad decision at all. I just think you've got to be very, very brave to do so. Salah, Trent and Diaz or Robertson, depending on price for Son. Yeah, I guess that does. And it also depends what other midfielders and defenders you want to pick. Maybe it makes sense you just sort of slot it into one of those positions. How was your day? My day was good, thank you. Just been doing different YouTube things, to be honest, and went to the gym as well. It was nice. FPL season's back. Of course I'm happy. Right. I'm going to leave it there because we'll get back to Liverpool players when we build the draft as well. The next team is a team very close to my heart, right? Which is Manchester United. Now, I think even myself included, right, I'll end that poll, by the way. Diaz is the winning option. It looks like Diaz is just about being favoured to Robertson at the moment, which is interesting. When we were talking about prices, talking about players, talking about teams, I didn't for the life of me think that Manchester United players would even be a remote option. I genuinely did not think we would even be talking about them. They've been priced very, very cheap. Very cheap. Some of them crazy cheap. Like, I cannot believe for the life of me why some of these have been priced as cheap as they have. I love it though, because it gives us an option, another option again, a bit of a template breaker, and it gives me the option to potentially choose some players from the team that I support. I think we'll start with the only player here that I think is slightly overpriced, or at least at that price doesn't tempt me as much, and that's Bruno. If Bruno Fernandes was at 9, I think he becomes a serious option, although he's still £1 million more than Diaz then, and Foden, and probably Mason Mount we're expecting to come in at around 8. Fernandes is a little bit too expensive for me, especially when you see Ronaldo's also 10.5. Now, the latest news that literally came in like half an hour before I started streaming is apparently Ronaldo's handed in a transfer request, or basically said that he'd like to leave if any offers come in. So I think that could potentially throw something in the air. If Ronaldo leaves, I suppose we're likely to sign another striker. If Ronaldo leaves and we don't sign a striker, I think Martial becomes a serious option, who we don't actually have a price for here at the moment. I would expect to come in around 7.5 million as a striker. If they make him a midfielder, you've got to expect him to be between Rashford and Sancho, maybe 6.57 million for Martial or Rashford. I don't think at this stage in his career, Alanga's ready to start for us as a striker. I do think he'll play some games there, but I don't think he's ready. So if Ronaldo leaves, Rashford through the middle at 6.5 or Martial through the middle at whatever price we get Martial at could be a serious option. I suppose there's always the option that we play some sort of false nine, but looking at what Ten Hag's done in the past, I don't expect that. I would expect us to start a number 9 through the middle, like a traditional number 9, or at least someone that will break the line, whereas Fernandes won't do that. It will play a little bit deeper. Honestly, I don't mind. As a Manchester United fan, I wouldn't mind Ronaldo leaving. And as an FPL fan and an FPL manager, I think I'd quite like Ronaldo to leave, because I think that opens up the door for someone like Rashford or potentially, like I said, Martial going through the middle. We just spoke about Alanga. Alanga at 5 million. I can't wrap my head around pricing Alanga at 5 million. Even if he's a rotation risk. And just to put this into perspective, they've priced the likes of John McGinn at 5.5 million. You cannot tell me that John McGinn is a better FPL option than Alanga. And again, I know that he might not start, but if he does get a run of starts at some point at £5 million and a midfielder, Alanga could offer some serious value as well. And even there, like Fred being 0.5 million more than Alanga, I don't understand that at all. Van der Beek, again, could offer good value. We assume that Van der Beek is going to be in Erik Ten Hag's sort of season plans, but we don't know at this stage if he's going to start. The issue that we've got with Van der Beek, from a Manchester United fan's perspective, and he could change this up, I don't think we can rock a formation of 3 midfielders that involves Van der Beek, De Jong, and Bruno Fernandes. Assuming we sign De Jong, one of those players is going to have to sit out for a more traditional defensive midfielder. It's not going to be Fernandes, and we're not going to sign De Jong to sit on the bench. So I think what we're more likely to see is Bruno Fernandes and De Jong playing as number 8s, and then we're going to probably see a more traditional defensive midfielder. Whether we sign someone or not, I'm not sure. If we don't sign anyone, it probably will be Fred or McTominay playing in the pivot in a number 6 position. So yeah, I do think we've got some serious options here. I think Alanga for now is a wait and see. Fred and Van der Beek are definitely wait and see, and I still don't think we're probably likely to pick them at any point. I think Bruno Fernandes is slightly too expensive. Ronaldo is a good price, but obviously he might leave, and I also just think you probably just pay the slightly extra for Haaland or Kane, most likely, unless you are wanting to take a slight risk with Ronaldo. Honestly, the one that stands out the most for me here is actually Jadon Sancho at 7.5. Now, I know a lot of people are looking at Rashford and thinking, if Rashford and Sancho are both starting, surely you save the £1 million, go for Rashford at 6.5. I just really like the look of Sancho. Sancho is our most favoured winger. He's going to start more games than Rashford, Alanga, Martial, whoever it may be. Sancho will start the majority. I also think that Erik Ten Hag's probably going to get a little bit out of Sancho, and he did start to look pretty good towards the back end of last season. So I actually think Sancho at 7.5 for me, out of all of these players here, is probably the one that tempts me the most at the moment. If we get a serious nod toward the fact that Rashford or Alanga are starting, then of course they become probably the favourite to pick in our teams. The final thing to say is basically all of the defence is coming at 5 million. So De Gea, Shaw, Telles and Varane all at 5, which means 100%. I don't know. Like, I've seen a couple of people in the chat as well. There's no way Maguire is 4.5 million. Why would they price De Gea, Shaw, Telles and Varane all at 5 and then make Maguire 4.5? Maguire's got, in my opinion, slightly greater goal threat than Varane. If Varane was 4.5, I'd say maybe. But the fact that we're seeing De Gea, Shaw, Telles and Varane all at 5, I would say that Malacia probably comes in at 4.5, and I would say that we probably, at 5, I should say, and we probably get Maguire at 5 as well. I don't think there's any reason to change the price in there. The reason that Ben White and Tomiyasu are potentially 4.5 is that Ben White has got absolutely zero goal threat, and Tomiyasu, I suppose, is a slight rotation risk and also doesn't have much goal threat either. So maybe they've seen that and thought, maybe we price him slightly less for that reason. Maybe Maguire is at 4.5, but I don't see the logic behind making Maguire less than the rest of the Manchester United defence. What do you guys think then? Who are your favourite picks then? I'm seeing a lot of love for Rashford, as you would expect. It was shocking, to be honest, to see Marcus Rashford coming in at 6.5 million is not really the price you expect him to come in at. I predicted before we got these price reveals, I predicted Rashford and Sancho both to be 8 million. So Sancho's 0.5 less than I thought. Rashford's 1.5 million less than I thought. I guess it really does come down to what happens with Ronaldo. And if Ronaldo does stay, it comes down to who is going to be the favoured winger alongside Sancho. We've got Rashford, we've got Alanga, and we've got Martial in there. Out of those three, I genuinely do not know who's going to start the majority of the games. I would predict Rashford, but not enough probably to pick him in your teams. So yeah, that's what I think of Manchester United. De Gea is an option. De Gea does tempt me slightly. I think I do prefer De Gea slightly to Ramsdale. Makes slightly more saves. Slightly better keeper, in my opinion. Ramsdale was really poor last season. I know he made a few wonder saves, but his overall keeping was pretty poor. His XG prevented was really, really poor. It was like negative like 4 or something, which was much lower than a lot of the other keepers. So I think I preferred De Gea to Ramsdale. I'm very, very interested what price Lloris comes in at. Because if Alisson's 5.5, which was Lloris's price last season, but Ramsdale and De Gea are 5, I'm very interested to see whether Lloris comes in at 5.5 or 5. Because I think if Lloris comes in at 5.5, at 5, I should say, I'd say Lloris might be the keeper to own, even above the likes of Raya and Sanchez. I would genuinely be tempted by Lloris. Cool. So that's Manchester United and Liverpool. If you are enjoying the stream, by the way, please drop a like. We've had over 300 viewers, but only 30 likes. So if you're watching this and you haven't liked the stream, please do give it a like. It helps to spread the stream out to other people. So that is Manchester United. Now, this is interesting as well. Moving on to Wolves, and another team where we do have some serious bargains here, in my opinion. I'm going to jump straight to it. I'm going to jump straight to the bargain, right? It's Neto. I don't understand how Neto's coming at 5.5 million. Again, Neto is the same price as Fred. He's the same price as Ruben Neves. I don't understand how you... And again, I know last season he was ravaged with injuries. He really, really struggled. But the potential is there for Neto. You can't price Neto the same as Fred and Neves, surely. Unless he does suffer with injuries again. But I think you've got to price him... I don't think you can price a player based on their injuries. I think you need to price a player based on what is their potential. And Neto's potential is higher than Fred and Neves. What do you guys think? Are you interested by... I think Neto's going to have ridiculous ownership now. Yeah, he's cheaper than Hwang. That's another point. Neto coming in cheaper. The same as Neves, same as Podence, and cheaper than Hwang. Thoughts on going in on Alisson rather than rotating keepers? I wouldn't rotate keepers anyway, but I prefer Alisson to rotating keepers. I'll be honest, at 5.5 million, I am definitely tempted by Ederson, and I'm tempted by Alisson, and I'll be tempted by Lloris at whatever price he comes in at as well. But I tend to prefer just saving as much money as I can with the keepers, to be honest. Neto is in every first draft, yeah. Neto was in... So we've been building drafts on this channel for a couple of weeks now. Neto has genuinely been in all of my drafts at 6.5 million. I was happy putting Neto in at 6.5 million. If I can save $1 million and still have Neto, it seems like a bit of a no-brainer pick. The reason why everyone loves Neto, despite the fact that obviously Wolves aren't that fantastic and they don't score many goals, look at their fixtures. Leeds and Fulham as the first two. Tottenham's not a great third, but if you can rotate Neto out for the third fixture, and then Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton, it's a really nice run of fixtures, especially that Fulham, Newcastle, and Southampton are at home as well. I genuinely think Neto's going to be in like 30-40% of drafts. Do you remember Ben Rama and Antonio last year? I think that's what you've probably got with Neto there. Neto's 100% in my Game Week 1 team, yeah. Losing out on Rafinha, Arsenal sniffing around Neto. I don't see it myself, but it's a thing. Okay, interesting. I haven't actually seen that. If Arsenal pick up Neto, that's a bit annoying because he's just probably going to then rotate with Martinelli and Smith-Rowe, isn't he? And Vieira and Ødegaard. The mind game is a great read. Cheers, Ross. I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you for saying that. Glad you're enjoying it. Neto seems like the fifth midfielder in all drafts. Thought it would be Wissa. We didn't even agree yesterday whether it's a V or a W, but... I'm drunk and thick. Good for you, Craig. Enjoy your Saturday evening. I'm not drinking. I don't really drink, to be fair. But if you're all having an alcoholic drink, have one for me as well. Jimenez first five is an option. It depends what Jimenez we get. Jimenez last season was so disappointing. It just looked like he wasn't the same after his injury, which is a shame. If we get Jimenez from 2 or 3 seasons ago, it's a different ball game. At 7 million, he's a bargain. Yeah, I don't understand how Bamford's 0.5 more than Jimenez. So the final thing to note with Wolves, Neto's the only attacker there that I'm interested in, is the defence is actually the opposite. So the defence is the other way around to what I thought. I thought Cody would be 4.5 along with Kilman, and I thought Ait-Nouri and Johnny would be 5 million. They've actually done them the other way. So Ait-Nouri and Johnny are 4.5, and they've actually bumped Cody up to 5 million. Now, Cody did get quite a few goals last season, considering he's not a very attacking player and he's not very tall. He doesn't strike you as the sort of player that would pick up a few goals. But I guess he is 100% nailed on. He did pick up a few attacking returns, and he was actually quite heavily owned last season. So I do understand why FPL have priced Cody slightly more than the others. But for me, I was expecting it to be the other way. So at the moment, it's one of Ait-Nouri and Johnny. Now, I put out a tweet that said I like the look of both of them. And then people are telling me that they play in the same position. When their entire team is fit, when the entire Wolves team is fit, yes, Johnny and Ait-Nouri both play left back or left wing back. However, Johnny's right-footed and Semedo looks like he's injured for the season. So it looks like Semedo will not be fit enough to start the season. What we saw last season when Semedo was injured is that Johnny, because he's right-footed, can play right back, and then we see Ait-Nouri at left back. So I actually think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're a Wolves fan and you're watching this, I'm pretty sure Wolves will start the season with Ait-Nouri and Johnny in the starting 11. When Semedo's back, obviously that changes it up. But for now then, I actually think I like either Johnny or Ait-Nouri. It doesn't really matter. I suppose you probably pick the player that you think, when Semedo is back, is most likely to be the starting left back, which is probably still just about Johnny. So maybe Johnny's the one to own out of those. Or maybe just go for Kilman. Maybe Kilman is going to be the one to own. Obviously, they no longer have Saiss. Wolves, so maybe Kilman is 100% nailed on and Kilman is the one to own for 4.5. What do you guys think? What defenders are you looking at? Johnny, Ait-Nouri, Kilman, Cody, or are you not interested in the Wolves defence at all? Because they didn't look as good defensively last season as they did the 2 seasons before that. Wolves' XG defence wasn't as good as we think, mostly thanks to Sarr. They will fall off this season, I predict. Yeah, I've seen a few people predicting that they're going to be in a bit of a relegation battle this season, Wolves. I'm not sure about that yet, but definitely their XG last season, XG conceded, I should say, was not very good. That's absolutely fine. I understand that. Brentford and Brighton, another 2 teams with 4.5, and Arsenal, and probably Spurs. These are all going to have other £4.5 million defenders. I think they probably all had better expected goals conceded last season. Very interested in Wolves. Think Johnny will be the one to go for, but I could choose another. Yep, I agree, Mikey. Going massive at the back so Wolves don't fit into the plan. That's fair enough, Craig. Should I captain Factor 20 or Sunblock or take a risk and triple captain Carrot Oil? I triple captain Carrot Oil. Go for it. No, protect your skin. Protect your skin. Go for the Sunblock. Go to Twitter. Why are you so keen on me going to Twitter? We're going to go through all the prices and then move over. Has something happened on Twitter that I'm missing? Have a look. I don't think it has it? No, can't see anything. Can't see anything. Right. So I think the general consensus is Neto and Johnny. A few people saying Neto might not be nailed. We'll have to wait and see for pre-season, I guess. Right. Next team. Aston Villa. By the way, did you guys see that Aston Villa was supposed to post the graphic that everyone else has done, but instead they just wrote a really short article on their website to try and increase their click-through rate. So they just wrote a really boring few prices on their website and just posted the link so that people would click on their website. It was pretty funny, to be fair. So we did eventually get the graphic. About 10 minutes later, official FPL posted the graphic for them. But these were the prices. I actually think that of all the teams that we've seen so far, all 10 teams, I think Aston Villa have been the most perfect for pricing. I don't think there's anyone here that is priced poorly. I don't think there's anyone that's particularly overpriced. And I don't think there's anyone that's particularly underpriced. If I'm looking at the players that I have an interest in, it's probably Matty Cash. I was going to say it's probably Matty Cash. That's probably it. Now, I know a lot of people are saying not interested in Villa, don't want Villa. The first 3 fixtures are actually very, very nice for Villa. Yes, two of them are away against Bournemouth and Palace, but they also have Everton in there as well. West Ham's not a terrible fixture. Then they have Arsenal and Man City. So it really is a bit of a short-term move unless you can find a player that rotates well. So if you can get like Cash, and then I think Wolves rotate quite well. So maybe you can pick someone like a Matty Cash and like a Cody. I haven't actually gone through all of the rotations yet. But if you can find someone that you can rotate in and out with your Aston Villa player, I don't mind selecting them as much. And I actually think for those first three games, Matty Cash at 5 million, I do really like that. I thought there was actually a small chance that Cash would come in at 5.5. I guess the issue that we've got for 5 is you can get an Arsenal defender for 4.5. You're probably going to be able to get like Eric Dyer for 4.5. We'll see that Monday, I believe, the Tottenham prices. You can get a Brighton, a Brentford player. So you can get a lot of good 4.5 million pound defenders. And then if you go up to 5 million, you can even afford the likes of Walker in there as well. So, and Cucurella potentially, whoever starts at that fullback position for Man City. Go up to 5.5. I actually think the likes of Perisic might be at 5.5. So I guess the issue with Cash isn't as much that he's not worth 5 million. It's that you can get a lot of good value in and around 5 million for Cash. What do you guys think? Do you think Matty Cash is looking at like good value? Yeah, Cash is a bargain. Cash is the man here. Sums Villa up, players Gerrard's linked with us, so unsurprising. Yeah, a lot of people, we don't seem very inspired by Villa. I guess there aren't any underpriced players here. You know, like we see Neto and we go, wow, that's under. There's no one underpriced here particularly. But I do think that Cash is a nice price. Coutinho, if he finds some of the form that we saw at points last season, could be well priced at 7 million. Watkins at 7.5 feels like you could do probably better. Tony at 7. I don't know, Bamford. I feel like there might be some other players that you could pick, although Watkins is very consistent. He sort of ticks along quite nicely. Was going to make a Cash joke, but I'm not good at jokes. Yeah, they played that joke on Mark Southerns all of last season, didn't they? They used to say Mark loves Cash. Cash is the best priced player so far this season. Makes you think, well, while all others are either straight yes or no. You think Cash is the best priced player this season? I think he is well priced, but I'm not sure he's the best. Do you know what's going to happen? Last season, we all picked Luca Dean, and he absolutely really struggled, and Matty Cash smashed it. This season, we're all going to pick Matty Cash, and then Luca Dean is going to really, really, really struggle. He's going to smash it, and Cash will struggle. It's always the way. I don't mind Luca Dean at 5 million, especially as he's on corners. Cash isn't on any corners. Luca Dean is on some corners. I guess the final player to talk about here is Martinez. Another okay £5 million option. But I think considering you can get Ramsdale and De Gea at 5, or Raya and Sanchez at 4.5, I just don't particularly feel like you need to go with Martinez there. I think I'd probably prefer Luca Dean or Matty Cash. Also, Ramsey is 5.5 million as we expected. So you're not going to get a 4.5 million pound Jacob Ramsey anymore. He's up at 0.5 million pound more than Alanga and the same price as Wissa and Neto. So I don't think Ramsey's going to be the one to own, personally. Right, so that's Villa. Like I said, pretty much Matty Cash. If I'm going to pick any players there, it looks like Cash is the one for me. Final team, Ramsey cheap as chips. Yeah, I think 5.5 is too much for me. Final team is Fulham. This is going to be a very, very quick one. Fixtures aren't great at all. Liverpool, Wolves, Brentford, Arsenal, Brighton, Tottenham. I don't like that run of fixtures for a newly promoted side. However, they did smash it in the Championship last season. And the main man himself, Mitrovic, who scored a hatful of goals and got some assists in there as well, at 6.5 million. Exactly the price we thought. I think they could have priced him at 6. 7 was always way too much. 6.5 was the obvious price. I think they could have got away with 6. But it's an okay price. I don't think he's going to make it into a Game Week 1 squad. Liverpool, Wolves, Brentford, Arsenal, Brighton, Tottenham. That opening run just isn't good enough for me. So I don't think he's going to make it into the squad as a result. The other player, alongside Mitrovic, who, in my opinion, tempts me slightly more, is actually Wilson at 6 million. Now, I haven't seen anyone particularly talking about this over on Twitter. And again, it probably is a wait and see. But when you consider he's at a similar sort of price to Harrison at 6 million, I know he's slightly more than the likes of, again, Wissa and Neto. So maybe not an early on player that you want to pick. But Wilson, for me, really is an FPL option. He takes a lot of shots. He's got a very, very good shot on goal. Like to have slightly higher XG than he is XA. He's the sort of player that I do actually quite like as an option from an FPL perspective anyway. So again, I'm not likely to pick, I'm definitely not going to pick a Fulham player in my opening team. But Wilson at 6 million in my opinion, out of all of these players, looks like a decent option. All of the other attackers, I genuinely don't know enough about. Obviously, I've seen some of these play before. Cavallero, Cabano, Kearney. I've seen all of these play, but I don't know in the new Fulham team, because I haven't seen Fulham in the Championship, how much they're going to play, how often they're going to play. So that's a wait and see there. And then their defence, yes, they're 4.5 million, but you can get an Arsenal defender for 4.5. You can get a Brighton and Brentford defender. You're really not going to choose a Fulham defender there. So really, it comes down to Wilson and Mitrovic. Obviously, Decordova-Reid could be a decent option, but again, I haven't seen a lot of him at 5.5. I think there are other options. So I think Wilson and Mitrovic, obviously, Wilson's going to be, I think, on set pieces, definitely takes free kicks. So that's something to look out for as well. But I think that's enough on Fulham. I don't think I need to drag out the discussion here. I think for now it's a wait and see how they acclimatise to the Premier League once again. We've seen in the past they have struggled, but they do look very good. They look like a very strong team coming up from the Championship. Let's see if Mitrovic finds his shooting boots, if he can start to get some goals. Maybe we bring him in around a sort of game week 7, game week 8 wild card. Maybe Mitrovic is the one to go for. So that's it. If we just go back to some of the other players. So from Fulham, no one really, maybe Wilson, maybe Mitrovic. From Aston Villa, it's pretty much Matty Cash. I don't mind the price of Watkins and Coutinho. I think there's probably slightly better options to go for early on, though. When we look at Wolves, for me, it's pretty obvious it's going to be Pedro Neto, and then one of 8 Nuri, Kilman, or Johnny is a £4.5 million defender. I don't mind that. And then Manchester United, again, I actually think it's probably Sancho at 7.5 that's going to offer the best value here. I don't mind Rashford at 6.5 if he gets a starting place. Ronaldo could offer great value at 10.5 if he stays, and I think Bruno's slightly overpriced there. And then if we just go and look finally at Liverpool, Salah, I think, is a good price. I don't think he's overpriced at all. I think other players are slightly underpriced. I think Salah's good at 13. Trent is definitely underpriced at 7.5. Trent will be in my team 100%. And then that final spot is probably between Robertson and Diaz for me. Currently leaning towards Diaz just because I like the defenders. Let's move on to a draft then. Let's move on to building a bit of a draft with some of the players that we've got today. And then if I've got a time at the end, I know there are people asking in the chat, maybe I'll rate a couple of your drafts over on Twitter as well, but that will be after we've built a draft here, so you don't have to keep sort of spamming that in the chat. Right, let's do it. So, what players from today do we want in? Let's start with Liverpool. I'm going to run the poll. It's going to be completely up to you guys here, right? So I'm going to put Salah and Trent in because I want them in the team. Right, which one in our draft? So this is going to be like a little bit like a community built draft, right? You're going to help me pick some of the players in the team, and I'm also going to help pick some players as well. So I'm going to go for Trent and Salah. Apologies if that upsets anyone. I just think that they're the best value for me. Which Liverpool player do you want to be the triple up? Which do you want to take that third spot? Is it Robertson, Diaz, or Jota/Nunez? But I don't think anyone's realistically going to want that. I guess I can put Alisson in there as well. Right, I'm going to leave that poll up for like 2 minutes. So if you're watching this live, please vote in the poll now. Let's get as many votes as possible. And once we've got those votes in, we'll put the third Liverpool player in. So let's get Trent in. I just think if Trent was $1 million more than Robertson, I would say I might go for Robertson over Trent. The fact that Trent's only 0.5 more than Robertson, I always feel like Trent's the better option. And as a result, I still think he's worth that extra 0.5. So, sorry, what am I doing? Alexander-Arnold. Let's get Trent in there. And we are going to put Salah in there as well, right? We might switch the formation up, by the way. We might not be on a 3-5-2. So I'm almost certain, even once we get all of the prices, regardless of what price Son and Kane and all the Chelsea players, I'm almost certain I'm going to have these two probably. I know a lot of people find it boring and a lot of people think that Salah might not be value at 13. I still think he is. The issue that you've got if you go without Salah is Salah's the obvious captain. Do you feel comfortable captaining Diaz? Do you feel comfortable captaining Trent? If you do, go for it. But I don't feel comfortable captaining any players outside of Salah personally. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. There we go. Right. What is the poll saying? What is the poll saying? Diaz 49%, Robertson 42%. Make sure to vote if you're watching this, by the way. There's only 80 votes, but there's 300 people. because that's very, very close. 49% on Diaz, 41% now on Robertson. Make sure to vote if you want one of those to him. People are saying Robertson due to game time, right? So I'll give my opinion on this whilst we're waiting to see what the vote says. I think if you're going for game time and you're going for someone that you think will get consistent points, Robertson is probably the one. The thing is, Diaz has such a high ceiling. If he starts to improve even more than we saw at the back end of last season, and he picks up similar amount of points to Mane, they used to price Mane at like 12 million. We're getting Diaz at 8 million, a starting left winger for Liverpool. The other thing is there are a lot of good, cheaper defenders. So I think you can, or alternative defenders, Cancelo, Chilwell, Perisic will be good alternatives as well. That's what, I'll be honest, if I were choosing now, I'd just about lean towards Diaz, but we'll see what the poll says. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. Why wouldn't you put the best left back of all time in the team? I didn't realise we could pick Dennis Irwin. I'll go for Dennis Irwin. I was going to say Patrice Evra. It's definitely not the best left back of all time. Neither's Dennis Irwin, to be honest, but there we go. Who is the best left back of all time? Maldini, but he didn't play left back for his whole career. Roberto Carlos? Marcelo? Let me know whilst we're waiting who's the best left back of all time. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll there. Robertson's on 42%. Diaz is on 47%. So a lot of people want Robertson, so I'm going to upset a lot of people. Ashley Cole was a great shout, yeah. I'm going to upset a lot of people. We're going to put Diaz in to start with. Right? A lot of people are going to be upset with not having Robertson, but Diaz did just about win in the poll. Marcelo, Robertson, Nilton Sanchez, Baines, Roberto Carlos, Ben Davies. I don't think Ben Davies is there, to be honest. Right. So there are 3 Liverpool. What Manchester United players do we want? I won't run a poll on this one. Just spam the chat. Spam the chat with the Man United players that you want in here. If you don't want any Manchester United players, just say no Manchester United players. Just put none. Please don't abuse us, though. Right. I knew that was going to happen. Everyone's just saying none, no one, none. Sancho's coming up a couple of times. Maguire, the GOAT. Yeah, Maguire could be a decent shout. We didn't get his price today, unfortunately. De Gea could be decent. None. I'm seeing a lot of nuns, a lot of Rashfords, and a lot of Sanchos. I'm going to put one in just because the prices today were... Obviously, we want to do like a themed draft each day of the prices we get. So I'm going to put one of them in. Ronaldo, it'll be Ronaldo, Sancho, or Rashford. So comment one of those 3 names. Ronaldo, Sancho, Rashford. I'm happy to put any of those 3 in if you think they're going to be decent value. Sancho, Rashford, go Sancho. Maybe Elanga. Yeah, I just think Elanga's going to be probably on the bench a little bit too often. Sancho, Maguire, Rashford, Sancho. I'm going to go Sancho. I think there's just about slightly more Sancho. 7.5 million feels like a good price for someone that's going to be fairly nailed on in the team. Right? I'm going to put Sancho on this side just because there's red. There's too much red otherwise. Right. Sancho's in. I think we're fine with just Sancho for now. I do think there are some other good value picks. Like I said, De Gea, Ronaldo could offer good value. But I think for now, Sancho's a decent pick as leaving it like that. Rashford is finished, not going to lie. He looked finished last season. Hopefully we see something from him this season, to be honest. Oh, I left myself muted. Right. Should we just put Neto in? Do we need to talk about Neto? Moving on to Wolves now. We're going to go in order again. So moving on to Wolves. Do I need to discuss Neto? I'm just going to put Neto in. Everyone's going to want Neto in the draft. At 5.5 million, Neto is the bargain of the day. Neto is the bargain of the day. Neto scored earlier. Did he? Is that correct? What Max has just said. Neto scored earlier. I haven't looked at any of the preseason games, to be honest. I think they were the first today, to be fair. If Ronaldo actually goes, he could be gold, Rashford. Yeah, Rashford could end up being absolute dynamite. What other players do we want from Wolves? Neto, and then probably one of maybe Johnny or Ait-Nouri or Kilman. Which of those defenders do you want? Ait-Nouri, Kilman, or Johnny? I think we'd go for the 4.5 million defenders. Good chance Ronaldo won't be there, so Rashford could be nailed at striker. Yeah, could be. Like I said, though, people are forgetting about Martial. Everyone's completely forgot that Martial exists. We didn't even get a price for Martial today. I would rather see Martial through the centre than I would Rashford. Rashford just... every time I've seen Rashford as a striker, it just doesn't work. Martial actually worked at points. Johnny, 8 Nuri, Johnny, Nuri, Johnny. God, that's a 50-50, isn't it? John, it's a real mix between 8 Nuri and Johnny. What website is this on? Or what website? Yes, FPL.team. I'll just put it in the chat a couple of times. There you go. Johnny, 8. Hi, Ross. Are you looking at drafts on this team, or are you just building your own? I'm going to quickly build my own, and then in 5 minutes, I'm going to do 10 minutes of rating your drafts, and then I think I'm going to end it there. Probably. Martial for sale, I think. Latest I heard on Martial was that he's not leaving. I think 8 Nuri's just about winning, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a £4.5 million defender, right? So I'm going to put 8 Nuri in for now. Right. Aston Villa. Players from Aston Villa. Yeah, this team's going to be very heavily biased to the players we got today, by the way, and then we'll filter some of the other players in after. Are there any Aston Villa players today? Coutinho, Watkins, Cash, Luca Dean, Emi Martinez. Any that you really want. If you don't want any, by the way, if we don't want any Villa players, which won't put any in. Where do we send drafts? I'm going to put a tweet out, Johnny. I'll put out a tweet in about 5 minutes, and you can just reply to the tweet. None. What? Everyone's a lot of love for Watkins. Interesting. None. Ramsey, none. Cash. Coutinho, none. There's not a lot of love at all. I'll put Cash in, but a lot. I was surprised. I thought, he's still left at 5.5. Okay, Peter's not updated that yet. I thought there would be a lot more love for Cash at 5 million. I thought people would be all over that. I do think there is good value elsewhere, but I genuinely really thought that everyone would be all over picking Matty Cash as an option. Right. So the final team was Fulham then. And I guess there's no Fulham players we want. So from all... We've had 5 teams today. From all of the players we've had today, we've not even managed to really fill a team here. Just spat my water everywhere. Villa haters. Yeah, everyone's really hating on... I guess the fixtures really decline after 3 games for Villa. Bournemouth, Everton, Palace is nice. West Ham, Arsenal, City, Leicester. I don't know. Are we looking a bit too much at those fixtures from 4, 5, 6? If you're someone that wildcards quite late, look at Villa's fixtures from 7 onwards. That's quite a nice run. I'm still considering Cash for my Game Week 1 squad. I'll be honest. I still think he could offer some really decent value. My camera is lagging out. I'm still here, don't worry. I just need to reset my camera. I still haven't found out a way to sort it. I do apologise. Not very professional. Right. What players to fill the last 4 gaps then for now? Let's fill out the bench, actually. Let's fill out the bench with some of the cheaper options. Could be anyone. We don't really care at this stage, do we? Some cheap options. I guess it depends if we want a midfielder, though, doesn't it? What other players do we want in this team to fill out the final few spaces? Should we try and get Haaland in there? Who's everyone's favourite striker at the moment to partner with Haaland? Is it Jesus? Is it Undav? Is it Tony? Wilson? Ederson at 5.5. Yeah, I don't mind slapping Ederson in goal, to be fair. Do you need a link or just a screenshot? It'll be just a screenshot, please, if that's all right. Kane and Wilson is the best duo. I think I prefer Haaland to Kane at the moment. Tony, Undav to go to the bench. Yeah, let's get Undav on the bench, I guess. No, which one is it? I can never know. I don't know which one's the striker and which one's the defense. There you go. Let's get Undav as a decent stub. There I am. I'm back. Undav, Tony. So we need like a middle price striker to start. And then we need 2 defenders, a keeper, and a midfielder. Right, let's go for the keeper first because we're getting loads of comments. What keeper do we want? Are we still thinking 4.5, or are we currently thinking maybe a 5 million or even a premium keeper? The premium keepers are only 5.5 now. So we've got Raya, Sanchez, Henderson, Edison, Allison, Lloris will probably only be 5.5. Just spam whatever keeper you want, just so that I can see. Raya, Sanchez, Raya. Okay, everyone's still on Raya at the moment. I actually think Edison could be the one. I know a lot of people will hate that. I actually think Edison could offer really nice value there. What other midfielders are we interested in then? Right, we'll get Raya in. What other midfielders? We've got Wissa. We've got... What other keepers? What other midfield? Oh, Foden, Grealish, of course, the Man City mids from yesterday. We've got Saka, Martinelli. Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson's still not listed as a midfielder on here, I don't think, is he? Oh, with £5.5 million mid. That's roughly what we'd get. I don't mind Brennan Johnson, to be fair. Mount, Mahrez, Saka, Martinelli is a good shout. Foden, Mount, Martinelli, Saka. Yeah, a lot of those comments. So it's one of those four, really, isn't it? Let's go Foden for now. I'd like another City player in there, to be honest. Striker. We wanted Wilson. This team's going to be too expensive, by the way. This team's going to be way too expensive. And then we need 2 cheap defenders. Just any 4.5s, really. 4.0, I should say. It doesn't really matter who the 4.0 is. We're going to hopefully get a decent value 4.0 defender. And then this is just going to be a 4.5. We said Tomiyasu. Yeah, Tomiyasu's coming up a couple of times. We're 1.5 short, guys. Now, what you might not know, I'm doing a little bit of research for an upcoming YouTube video. Undav and Mbermo, I know everyone hates Mbermo. They rotate really nicely. So if I just look at the fixtures for Brentford and Brighton, for Brentford, you don't really want to start your Brentford player, particularly in the first 2. I don't mind it, to be fair. And then also 8 isn't a great fixture. And then if you look at the Brighton fixtures, Newcastle in 2 is a decent one. And in game week 8, they've got Palace. So they actually rotate quite nicely. So you can actually rotate quite well, Undav and also Mbermo, I should say. So that could be an option as a rotating strikers. The other option is that we just bin off Undav down to a 4.5 or bin off Wilson to a 4.5. That saves us money. Sancho down to Martinelli, Yeah, a lot of people are saying Sancho. I like Sancho, though, as an option. Not even because I'm a United fan. I genuinely do think Sancho's an excellent price. But that would give us... We'd now have 3 million to potentially upgrade... I don't know why I've got a Jer in there. I wanted a 4 million. Any 4 million. Right. So now we have enough to upgrade Cash to Cancelo. And we still have 2 million to play with. You definitely have rose tinted glasses, think it's going to take Ten Hag a lot of time to sort the rot out. I genuinely don't think I do. And I often admit if I think I'm being biased. I think I'm fairly... I'm not saying I love Sancho. Sancho's going to score 40 goals. I just think it could offer good value. But I'm happy leaving him out. That's a really nice team with 2 million to spare, isn't it? So we could upgrade Greenwood to a 6.5. We could upgrade... I guess we're missing a Chelsea defender, aren't we? Or even Martinelli could go up to like a Mason Mount. How about that? It's a nice draft, right? Get James. It's either going to be like Martinelli and James or Tomiyasu and Mount. Feel like Newcastle were worth having too. Yeah, God, where do we get all these players in though? This is the issue. Where is the Spurs? Yeah, there we go. Like people are saying, where are the Spurs? Where's that? Like you genuinely can't. If you want, so right now I've got triple City, triple Liverpool. If I can afford a draft with triple Liverpool and triple City, it makes sense to do so, doesn't it? Like if I can afford a draft with 3 players from the best team, the 2 best teams, for me that makes a lot of sense to do that. We can try and squeeze Sonny in here somehow. But obviously, we don't know his price at the moment, and it would probably involve having to make like several downgrades. I don't think the freemium draft is going to be the way forward. I think 3 premiums is going to be a little bit too much, especially if you're also trying to get like Trent and Cancelo in there. I think the only other thing that you might want to potentially try and do is squeeze in a Newcastle defender, but we don't have the Newcastle prices yet. You need Tottenham this year. You could, I reckon we might get Eric Dyer at 4.5. I know that's not what you're saying. I know you're probably thinking like Kulusevski or something in there if you want to, but I think Dyer could be decent. You could potentially squeeze him in instead of Mount, but then you're going to say no Chelsea. That's the issue you've got. If Kulusevski comes in around sort of 8 million, something like that, you're then probably targeting the best teams out there. But there's obviously there's no Chilwell, there's no James. There's no Mason Mount. The other thing you could do then, if you wanted Robertson, by the way, if you get Robbo in there, and then you can probably go for Mason Mount in there instead. That could be nice if you want to go for Robertson over Diaz. Right. We're gonna literally just do 5-10 minutes now, just going through a couple of your drafts because I said I would. This isn't gonna be a particularly long sort of session to do this, by the way. Oh, look at that! It's perfect timing. Black Box is starting at 7:45 p.m. As soon as I finish streaming, go watch FPL Black Box. For those watching my stream, drop your drafts. For those watching my stream, drop your drafts below for me to roast. Little kiss as well. There you go. If you want your draft roasted, aka rated, aka me to just go, yeah, it looks good, then just drop it in that and I'll have a look. Right. Let me just fix this up a little bit. What am I doing? Ross, focus. There you go. Right, first draft. So he's got the Trent, Salah, Diaz, Cancelo, and Foden. Okay, this is really similar to this is very similar to what we've just built, but it's a 5-4-1. One less midfielder, and they've got Perisic, and I like that a lot. It's probably better than the draft we've just built. The only issue, again, is you're lacking maybe a Spurs attacker and a Chelsea attacker, but you can't have everyone. And I do really, really like that as a potential team. I think that does look really, really nice in there. There's a lot of money invested in the defence, but I do think the defence is probably going to be pretty good value, to be honest. What are you using for your draft? It's FPL.team. Jesus Christ, there's 22 people's drafts. Marcus. We've got Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, and Salah as the Liverpool triple up. Tomiyasu, Cash, and Laporte. Yeah, we didn't even think about Laporte, but Laporte could offer really good value as well. Mason Mount, Grealish, Neto, Salah, Haaland, and a strong bench. And a strong bench of Undav, Bruno G. The thing is, I think Bruno G might come in a little bit more expensive than FPL.team have it. I don't like the striker potentially only having Haaland playing. Yeah, but most of these drafts will have Undav as a backup. But again, I suppose he's a slight rotation risk as well. I see YouTuber drafts and it puts me a little bit off Haaland, actually. Should we see if anyone's got a draft without him? I'm going to try and scroll through and see if there's any slightly different drafts. I'm going to skip past anything that has Haaland as the only striker. I do apologise. I know that's going to be pretty much everything. Okay, here we go. I like this a lot. Whose is this? Mercia? Is that how you pronounce your name? Apologies if I butchered that. Trent, Cancelo, Tomiyasu, 8 Nuri. Salah, Martinelli, Neto, Luis Diaz, Ronaldo, and Haaland. And he's got Lamptey as first sub. Or she. I didn't look at what sex the person was. I like that a lot. Ronaldo and Haaland double up. If he stays again, there are rumours that he wants to leave, but I don't mind that at all. Another one with Haaland. I'm going to skip past a few of them if they've just got Haaland in. Love you, Ross. There you go. Matthew said love you, Ross. So I like this. Got Mahrez in there as another option. This one does have Mason Mount and Chilwell. So got some Chelsea players in there too. Ivan Toney partnered with Haaland and then a 4.5. So this one does have two strikers. I'll be honest, if we're looking at flexibility, I think a 4-4-2 is a more flexible formation than a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1. What site are we using? This is FPL.team that everyone's using. Just type in your URL, FPL.team. I really should start charging Peter for promoting his site, I think. That's a joke, by the way. Haaland again. These aren't bad drafts, by the way. The draft that I've just built, if we just switch back to that, the draft that I've just built also has Haaland, but I just wanted to go through something a little bit different and just try and mix it up a little bit if we can. I have a lot of notifications. You can't see it's just off the screen. I have 145 notifications to get through in a minute. That's nice. Tony and Haaland looks like a popular double up. So for those that are playing a 4-4-2, a lot of people have Tony and Haaland in there. I don't mind that at all. God, I'm trying to get to... Okay, 2 no Salah drafts. Here we go. Steve-O's given us something slightly different to think about. So still Trent, Cancelo, Tomiyasu, James. This is the first time I've seen Reece James actually in a draft. And Perisic. Saka, Kulusevski, Luis Diaz. Nice midfield. Kane and Haaland as a double up. So this is what you can get if you don't go with Salah. You can get Kulusevski, Diaz, Saka, Kane and Haaland. Those 5 attackers are really good. The only thing I would say, Steve-O, is your bench is horrific. You need to upgrade that bench a little bit. But yeah, that's a really nice, slightly different draft there, isn't it? For sure. And then the other one. Okay, so this is still a Haaland-only draft, but it's without Salah. And it allows you... My word. Oh, I shouldn't have looked at that. Look what you can do without Salah. Look what you can afford without Salah. A £5 million keeper, Trent, James, Perisic, Cancelo, Robertson. Arguably probably the 5 best defenders you can possibly get. Saka, Mount, Kulusevski, Luis Diaz, Haaland. I like that a lot, but there is no Salah. There's also no Son. I think if I was going Salahless, I would go for Son instead. I wouldn't go without Son, Kane, and Salah. This is a 1 premium draft. So you spread the funds, it looks really nice. But with respect to flexibility, if Salah, Son, De Bruyne, Ronaldo, if all of these other premiums start doing well, getting to a second premium is going to be very, very tricky for you with that draft. Okay, we've got one here without Haaland. This one's Kane and Tony, Saka, Foden, Neto, Salah. I quite like this. Again, bit different. This one's without Trent as well. So no Trent, no Haaland. £9.5 million on keepers was there. I didn't see that there. Let's have a look what else we've got. Refresh it. There should be a few more coming in. It's just a lot of the same. We are seeing a real template emerging here. It's going to be Trent, Salah. Let me refresh this. Oh, not an ad. I don't want some random ad. Swarovski crystal. I do not have enough money for that. Right. Sorry, my bottle was in the way. That's why I was doing this round. All right. What I wanted to basically, just before we leave, there's a template forming, right? This is the template. I'm only going to put in the players of the template that's forming. And I'm also going to put in the formation of the template that's forming as well. All right, it's a 4-5-1. This is the template that's forming relatively quickly in here. Hey, Ross, how are you doing, mate? How's the break been so far? I haven't really taken a break, to be honest, mate. I've just been grinding out content regardless, but I've been enjoying it. Not enough money yet. Don't forget to support the channel by becoming a member or a patron. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My man, Frosty. Raya. What else is in... What else are we seeing in a lot of the... What are the other template picks? What were some of the other template picks? Saka's in a lot of drafts, isn't he? Luis Diaz was popping up in a lot. Martinelli. Yeah, Martinelli's a bit of a template pick, isn't he? Oh, and Neto's obviously a very template pick. Undav's a template pick. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not going to exaggerate. I think that's it for the template. Yes, there are some other players like Diaz and Robertson will pop up a lot, but I don't think there's a specific one that's really popped up yet. Maybe Diaz. Let's get Diaz in there. Yeah, Tomiyasu's actually been in a lot, hasn't he? I know we're yet to get prices, right? And if the Chelsea and Spurs prices come in, and they're going to shake things up. At the moment, to finish this stream, that is the template at the moment. We're seeing a lot of Cancelo and Haaland, specifically Haaland, obviously. Salah, Diaz and Trent, I think at the moment, will be the most popular Liverpool triple-up. I think Tomiyasu and Martinelli definitely look like the standout Arsenal players. And then we've got Raya coming in as the most popular keeper. And I think after today, Neto's going to be in pretty much every draft. It's a bit annoying. I think that will be that's a very strong team, don't get me wrong. I'm really hoping the Chelsea prices and the Spurs prices spice things up a little bit. I'll be trying to get maybe Sancho in there. Maybe I'm looking at it a little bit from a biased perspective, but I do think he's good value. Why is Neto so popular? Wolves' attack is not any good. Is he just a bench warmer? I think Wolves weren't great last season, but Neto was injured for the large majority. And when he does play, he puts up pretty good underlying data. I suppose if he's a rotation risk at all, then he won't be popular, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's it then, guys. I think that's it. I think the template should be broken up when we get the Spurs prices, Kulusevski, Kane and Son on Monday, I believe. Tomorrow, we're going to get the Chelsea prices. Also, the West Ham prices as well. So we might... yeah, which teams are coming tomorrow? Let me get that up quickly. 2 seconds. The teams for tomorrow. How is this going to look? This is the issue I've got. There we go. Team. So what they're doing, if you've not caught I'm not going to take credit for this, by the way. Loads of people are taking credit for it. It was literally one guy spotted it and then everyone else realised. But whoever the guy was, I don't have his name on hand. Well done. They're doing every fourth team and then they're going through the next ones the next day. So the first set of teams were obviously City, Arsenal, Brighton, Brentford, and it was, who was it after that? Leeds, right? So it's basically every fourth team. So today was Liverpool, Arsenal, Wolves, why can't I count? Villa, and then it was the first newly promoted team, which was Fulham. So tomorrow is going to be Chelsea. All right, Chelsea's the first team. West Ham, so Chelsea at 10, West Ham at midday. Then it's going to be Newcastle at 2 p.m. Then it's going to be Southampton at 4 p.m. And then it'll be Bournemouth at 6 p.m. Right, so Chelsea, West Ham, Newcastle, Southampton and Bournemouth. Realistically, it's probably the least exciting day. I would say Monday's slightly more exciting. Monday, we're going to get Spurs. Monday, we'll also get Leicester. Spurs and Leicester in particular are two teams that I'm quite interested by. We'll also get Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest as well. So for me, Monday's slightly more exciting, but we are still going to obviously do the live stream. Tomorrow, we're going to do one on Monday as well. And then we'll probably stream on Tuesday when the game goes live too. So those are the teams that will be coming. Tomorrow. I think Chelsea's the main one. Chilwell, Havertz, Mason Mount, Reece James, Mendy. Is he 5 million? Is he 5.5? I think those are the ones we really want to look at. So guys, there we have it. That is today's stream. If you have enjoyed today's stream, please do drop a like. There's only 98 likes, but we've had over like 2,000 people in at random times. So please do drop a like on your way out. If you're watching this as a video, drop a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure to join, become a member, become a patron if you're interested in getting a little bit of support this season. I'll be back tomorrow, probably 6:30 again. So 6:30 p.m. UK time, which is BST, British Summer Time. We'll be live again, probably for another hour. Do the same on Monday. Lots of content to come. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Until next time, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.